But shouldn't this be also something where the corporation that's initiated this assessment comes into play and say, listen, we have, PMI, one of the things I like about the resource chapter in the PMBOK guide recently is that there's a clear commitment from PMI to say, listen, the responsibility for competency development is not only self-responsibility, but every project manager, every department head, every corporation should be engaged and committed in the sense of also giving back to the development of every individual. And we all know this. Working on a project, one of the greatest benefits of working on a project is that you learn something that you learn competencies. You're challenged to learn competencies that you didn't have beforehand, right?
Yeah. So that's for me in step 3, action.
Okay.
Step 3, the action. So the self or the person defines together with this coach what actions should be can be help to improve his qualities, to if let's say maybe not eliminate, but to decrease the impact of some lesser behavior that are really having negative.
Mm-hmm.
But the key is really to grow. Mm-hmm. And then part of step 3 is that for me it's crucial that the person is sharing the action plan with his N+1 and with the stakeholder inside the organization.
Okay, so let's make this more structured. So I don't disagree with you. I think self-responsibility is where it all begins. But it's challenging because it could be, we all know this. It's easy to say, I've self-reflected. I know I have these qualities, but a lot of us slip back into our day-to-day operations, say, hey, I am who I am, right?
But then you stay on a level nice to know.
Yeah. So self-responsibility is one thing. The individual has to define what they want, but this is also a group effort. So you're saying it needs to be coordinated with a coach, assuming that their stakeholder, their superior, their department head, their sponsor sees themselves in a coaching function. I'm assuming, though, that your model also tries to create a link to HR, human relations, or human to the personnel department.
Most of the time, it's one of the stakeholders.
Okay, so they might be involved from a supportive system if it comes to developing trainings and stuff like that.
So that's where you bring it back to the basically the leadership as a feedback giver. You bring it back to the company. The shared ownership of the action plan. Yeah. It's shared between the manager, self, and the stakeholders.
So human resources or personnel would be part of the key stakeholders. So we've gone through. You go through the assessment. You go through the 360. You come up with an action plan. That could be extensive. That could be personal. That could be group based. That could be team based. Right? There's multiple different forms of development strategies, where I'm assuming that you coach and provide suggestions?
Yeah, so basically I want to split up 2 things that you just said. So the action plan you should have as an individual. Mm-hmm. Every single individual has to have an action plan or her, mm-hmm. and share it with the stakeholders.
Yeah.
So that it's really, it's really concrete. The company and the stakeholders, what this person is aiming to do and why, and they could agree upon.
What I like about what you're saying is, I think the assumption is kind of this passive assumption: I don't have a competency; it's not my fault. Somebody else has to train me, and if I'm trained, then I'll be able to do it. Which is not true. I think the coin just dropped with me. What you're basically saying, if, for example, let's go back to the example you said, I think I'm incredibly tolerant and patient, and everybody else says, no, you're not. That I might sit down and do some self-reflection and say, okay, there's an internal view and an external view. I could sit down with an action plan and make a concrete commitment with examples in scenarios, what I intend to do to change that perception of me.
Exactly.
Okay. But I don't just change the perception. It requires me changing my actions, or make an effort in that direction. So I like that about what you say.